Hey friend, in this episode, I just wanted to remind you guys that we are in a spiritual battle. I will be reading some verses from Ephesians chapter 6. So I just wanted to bring awareness and remind you that we are definitely in a spiritual battle. And I bring you 5 ways to stay alert in your spiritual life. This is kind of a part two to episode two. Episode two talked about what holistic health is. This is kind of like a part two of what is holistic health, part two. I feel like I needed to bring up another perspective when it comes to holistic health. So I really hope that you will enjoy this episode. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share with you another review from Apple Podcasts. This comes from La Bamba Boxfit. Golden knowledge. Love the amazing knowledge that Alexandra presents in this podcast, especially for mamas like me who love holistic approaches. I love how she defines what holistic means, especially for those who may be confused on this topic, as I was. Thank you for your obedience and spreading this knowledge. Monica from Moms Breaking Chains. Thank you so much, Monica, for your wonderful review. If you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, I just might read it on the show. These written reviews are just so helpful to help the show grow. So if you find value in this message, I really hope that you will write a written review. All this being said, let's get into the show.
Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. I'm Alexandra. I love Jesus. I'm a wife and mom of 3 kids, and I'm also a nurse with years of experience in clinical research. When I experienced ongoing health symptoms, I searched for sustainable remedies. I am so grateful that God showed me that He is the source of true healing. In this podcast, you will learn holistic health solutions, Bible truths, and inspiration to live out God's calling in your life. If you're feeling tired, frustrated, and overwhelmed by your health symptoms, then this is the podcast for you. So go ahead and brew some herbal tea. Let's take a break from the mind-numbing humdrum busyness. Let's rest and let God be our healer and helper.
Last year, we moved into a house that I love with beautiful white stone floors, a lanai, a beautiful backyard, high ceilings. The very first week that we moved in, though, my husband said to me, I just saw a cockroach in the laundry room. It's kind of funny because when we lived in Chicago, I've never been a good housekeeper, and even though we told the kids not to, sometimes they would walk around the house with snacks and leave crumbs on the floor. But I had never seen a cockroach in Chicago. So when we moved into our house in Florida, we didn't really have time to make the house messy yet, and yet we saw a cockroach. In our fridge, there are these openings inside the fridge. There are these rectangular openings, and one day I opened the fridge and this dead cockroach was hanging on to one of the ridges and it was just staring at me. It's really disgusting. And then there was this other day where I looked up, for whatever reason, I looked up into our microwave. We used to have a microwave that was hanging over our stove. I looked up and I saw maybe 2 or 3 cockroaches. So I told my husband, he took the microwave down, he opened the bottom, and at the bottom of our microwave, there were 20 or more dead cockroaches. There's probably more of them because there were babies too, and so we called it an exterminator, and the exterminator told us that cockroaches can get inside the house through the tiniest of cracks, and they can be living in your house and sometimes you'll never see them, but if you start to do renovations, you'll start to see them. So we were doing renovations, so that could have been part of the problem. I'm bringing this up because this cockroach problem, it kind of reminds me of Satan and spiritual warfare. Satan can get in through the tiniest of cracks, and sometimes we won't see him. You can have this beautiful house and think everything is perfect, but then when you look a little closer, you'll start to see the disgusting cockroaches. And it's the same thing with life, right? But the difference between Satan and cockroaches is that the Bible says that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Satan is the deceiver, he's the father of lies. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I wanted to bring this up because I heard a podcast about this lady who started going down the holistic health path, and she felt like she was led down this rabbit hole of just things that were not for God. Some of the things she found were demonic, and I wanted to bring this up because in episode 2 I told you guys what I see as holistic health. I said that I don't see it as mystical practices or strange things like that. But I wanted to bring this up because I think I would be remiss to say that there can be, there are definitely things that can lead you astray when it comes to holistic health. But before we go into health, let's talk about lies in general in our world. There's lies in our school system, there's lies on social media, there's lies in the news, in there's lies about money, there's lies about our identity, there's lies from politicians. Some of these lies are intentional and some of them are unintentional. If I were an enemy of God, I think it would be a no-brainer to get these lies out in media, in social media, in all of these huge industries that have such a large impact on people. And so, knowing all that, to me, I think it would be a no-brainer to also spread lies through our healthcare system. And this includes our the conventional healthcare system, and when it comes to holistic healing, integrative health, all that. There's basically lies everywhere, right? I just wanted to bring awareness to this because I feel like in the church in the US, we're asleep to this, right? We don't think about it or we don't see it. But I just wanted to remind you that we serve a God that was born of a virgin. That's supernatural, right? He rose from the dead. That's supernatural. Jesus can heal people, cast out demons, and all of that is supernatural. So I just wanted to remind you that we live in this world, but things are not always what they seem, right? I wanted to read you from Ephesians 6, starting in verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. So it says this in the Bible, right? There are spiritual forces around us that we don't see. I also want to say that we're not supposed to focus on the darkness, so we're not supposed to be scared. There was a just this past year, a couple years, I feel like God was saying that I'm focused too much on the dark and the bad stuff, but we're taught to focus on what's good and true and what's righteous. So I don't want us to focus on this and stay here, but I wanted to bring awareness. I said this in another episode in Joshua chapter 9, as we know that Joshua was a man of faith and he was a great leader, but he was deceived by the Gibeonites because he did not seek counsel from the Lord. And this can so easily happen to all of us, to me and to you and to all of us. We can be easily deceived, and so it's so important for us to go to God for counsel for everything, right? So I wanted to bring awareness to this. And also, I want to say that Satan uses good things to get us off track, to distract us as well. And I'll give you an example of this. Some people, some of us, we volunteer so much at church to the point where we neglect our kids or something like that. We are given very specific gifts by God, and some of us get distracted with doing so many things. We think that doing more will make us more worthy, but sometimes those things are distractions. Even though we might be doing something good, those things can take us off track from what God really wants us to do. So let's bring this back to health. Some people, this is just an example, some people are follow a vegan diet and it's been great for them. They've seen so many health benefits, but some people don't do as well on the vegan diet. Like I know this pediatrician who said that she went vegan for a year and she said it was the worst year for her health. So I wanted to say this too because one health protocol that seems wonderful and works great for one person may not work for you. Same thing with things like essential oils. Everyone has a different body chemistry, and one essential oil that will be great for one person may not be great for you. So that's why it's just so important to go to God for wisdom, go to Him for counsel. It's so important to stay alert. Ephesians 6:17 says, "Keep alert with all perseverance." So I wanted to give you 5 ways to stay alert in your spiritual life. Number one, as I already said, we need to be going to God for counsel for everything. Before we choose a practitioner, we should be going to God for counsel. Before we say yes to a treatment, we should be asking God what He thinks. Number two, Ephesians 6:17 says to read the Bible. The Bible is the sword of the Spirit. If we're not reading the Bible, we don't have our sword. We don't have a good offense to fight the enemy, to guard ourselves from deception. A while back, my friend posted something on Facebook. It said something like, if you don't love the Bible, just pray and ask God to help you love the Bible. I prayed this prayer a few years ago and I just really love the Bible. God answered this prayer. So I just want to encourage you, if you think that the Bible is irrelevant to you or if you think that it's boring, just pray and ask God to help you love the Bible, or pray a prayer like that, and He will answer that prayer. Number three, we need to be praying at all times. This is from Ephesians 6:18. When I was growing up, every sermon, I felt like at the end, the answer was always read the Bible and pray, read the Bible and pray, read the Bible and pray. I don't want us to become desensitized to this advice. It's just so important because, like I said, the Bible is the sword of the Spirit, and we need to be praying at all times. I think that we underestimate, or we don't understand the power of prayer and what just such a gift that it is that God gave this to us, that this mysterious gift of prayer where we get to affect the outcome of what happens with our prayers. A few years ago, my old pastor, my previous pastor, he recommended this book called This Present Darkness by Frank E. Peretti. It's a fiction book that shows the battles that go on between angels and demons, and it shows what happens when people started to pray. It's just an amazing book. And like I said, I heard about it years ago and I heard about it again and I finally read it. And it's just such a wonderful book. If you're interested, I recommend that you read that book. Number four, we need to test everything. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 21 says, "But test everything, hold fast what is good." I wanted to link this with number five, stay in community with godly people. Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." If we want to guard ourselves against deception, if we want to protect ourselves, we need to be in community because we need to be talking about what we're learning. We need to be sharing with others, and we need those people that will be brave enough to tell us when they think that we're going on the wrong path or we're believing a lie. This is just so important. So, to recap, I mentioned 5 ways to stay alert in your spiritual life. Number one, go to God for counsel. Number two, read the Bible, which is the sword of the Spirit. Number three, pray at all times. Number four, test everything. And number five, stay in community with godly people. I hope that this was helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon.
I'm so glad that you took the time to listen today. If you like what you heard, will you leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts so that this show can reach more people? And if you want to connect with me, go to herholistichealing.com. Before you go, I want to leave you with one of my favorite passages from Matthew 29. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you, it's easy and my burden is light.